Just because I put someone in C tier, it doesn't mean he's not viable. I'm just saying C stands for average. It's not good. It's okay. Do play him if you have fun, but don't expect to be Challenger Solo Q Timo, or Challenger Solo Q Nasus, or Challenger Solo Q Kale. It's probably not gonna happen, especially with 700 LP. It's not gonna happen. Trust me, on those 3 champions, it's probably not gonna happen. Even if you abuse the OP champion, solo queue to Challenger right now, extremely hard to do. You need to be one of the best players to do this. Hey, what's up guys, Darkbreaker here, and in today's video a new tier list for the new patch 3.0a. I'm gonna try to predict how the changes in this balance change are gonna affect the meta. Obviously, the meta slightly shifted, and there were really decent changes on a bunch of champions, especially the changes on Mastermind. I think are gonna affect the 1 vs 9 hyper carry jungle meta. So therefore, I will try to predict and give you guys my opinion how the meta is gonna be and what champions are gonna be the best and what champions in my opinion aren't that good. And obviously this is subjective, so take it with a grain of salt. But usually if you try to follow the champions that are in the meta and try to learn them, try to master them, it is easier to push with them compared to other champions that are below in the tier list, but it doesn't mean you can't get high elo with one of those champions that are in B or C tier. Really depends on what champions you like to play. You can play whatever you want, but if you guys want to have an even easier time, then just abuse the OP champions. It's really up to you. And if you guys enjoy this tier list or enjoy my daily content, then definitely make sure to leave a like to support the channel and maybe subscribe so you guys can see daily Wild Rift content. But yeah, let's get started. I'm gonna give you my in-depth thoughts, obviously. You can just skip through the timestamps if you guys don't want to listen to my explanation. But if you guys actually want the explanation for each champion, why I put them in each rank, then definitely listen, because some people always wonder, why is this champion in this rank or in this category? Why they don't even watch the video. So definitely, if you guys want to actually understand my thoughts, then definitely make sure to actually listen to the entire video. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to commentate while you just skip through the video and don't even understand each position. But anyways, S plus tier in the Baron lane is Fiora. She didn't get touched in this patch. She is super broken. She is just one of the best early game champions, and her late game is crazy. And her 1 vs 9 potential is so good in solo queue just because she is so oppressive in the laning phase. She can snowball. And if she gets ahead in the early game, usually she is really good in those team fights. Going for the Trinity, Blade of the Rune King, and Protobelt. Obviously, she is not the greatest team fighter, but if you have like a 2 or 3k gold lead because you're snowballing in the top lane, you already secured the top lane turret, you shoved in the wave, you're out roaming your enemy top laner, and then you try to join those team fights, try to flank, try to find those backline kills, then definitely Fiora can be really good. I obviously always say that in the mid and late game team fight, you should not flank, you should play front to back. But if you're ahead, you're like, let's say you're 6-7k gold and the others are like 4 or 5k gold, and they're fighting, they're split up. If you can find the opening and just one-shot the ADC, Fiora can be really strong. Obviously, there are some champions that are super hard to deal with as a Fiora, like Vayne. Better ban Vayne if you're playing Fiora. Otherwise, in the top lane, I don't think you have any really hard counters where you have to ban those champions out. Fiora, a really strong pick. You can first pick her no matter what, and you should be fine. And if you must, like, S plus is also for those that really mastered Fiora. If you are just an average Fiora player, I mean, she's still strong, but you really need to master her, learn her, be a one-trick pony, have enough games, have enough experience. But having enough experience applies for every champion that has a high skill ceiling. So Aurelia, Yasuo, Zeds, and whatever other champions, Akali, whatever other high skill champions exist. So next one, S tier list. Set got a decent nerf, like really big early game nerf. I think utility wise, he's still one of the greatest Baron laners. His third ability is really strong. His ultimate is really strong, and the second ability is still really solid. But definitely, the laning phase, the base AD nerf, and the passive nerf and the attack speed nerf are gonna hurt him in his early duels against a bunch of Baron laners. I think the build might change where you don't even go Blade of the Rune King anymore, and you just go Black Cleaver into full tank and play him for the utility, and more like a tank than a super strong bruiser with tons of damage. And yeah, he was too broken. He was S plus tier, never opened, always banned. I got him like 5 times, and definitely check out the video I've made about him before the patch. He's so broken. Next one is gonna be Renekton. I think he's still a really strong Baron laner. Um, Great duelist, good frontliner. Has stun, is super tanky. If you just buy Gargoyles, Dark's Gage, you can tank so much in team fights. He struggles against champions with a lot of mobility, so like Vayne, Lucian, but otherwise Renekton, no matter what, a great frontline and has great carry potential. Jace also got a heavy nerf, like Set. Therefore, I'm putting both of them from the S plus tier into the S tier. And I think he's still gonna be fine. He's still gonna be strong, but it definitely hurts his early game dominance. And I think after this nerf, Fiora is gonna win against him pretty decently compared to before, because -6 base AD in the early game, that's a lot. That's a lot. Camille also received a nerf on the second ability and on the ultimate, but overall, I think I had the S plus. Wait, did I have the S plus tier or S tier last time? Let me check really quick. I might have only had her S tier last time. Oops. Baron 3.0. Yep, I had her S tier. She's still gonna be S tier. Utility wise, she's still fine. First ability didn't get nerfed, so she still has the main damage tool. Second ability obviously is gonna hurt in the early laning phase, so her poking is not that strong anymore. But overall, the second ability in the mid and late game, you only use it for the slow, not necessarily for the damage. So she's gonna be fine. Utility wise, on the ultimate, she's still super good. Darius didn't change at all. Still a super good 1 vs 9 hyper carry. Only downside is in some team comps he's gonna get kited, so make sure to pick him into melee champions. That's gonna make his life a lot easier. Garen didn't change at all. I think so. He's still a very good bruiser, super tanky, great duelist, and has decent amount of damage. Gragas got the buffed. I think I had him last time in A tier. I think he's gonna be S tier now. I'm not sure about which build is gonna be the best. AP, full AP build, hybrid build, or full tank build. They buffed his base armor by +6 or something. That's actually a lot in the early game, so his dual power pre-5 is gonna be much better. He's gonna hold out much easier against those bully champions in the early game like Fiora, Jace, Camille, Renekton, etc. So I think he's gonna be in a really good spot. He was already fine in my opinion, but buffing him, I'm not sure if that was a good decision. Riven, I think I think I put her last from A tier. She didn't change at all. You could argue if she's A tier. I think she's really strong, but the downside is she's pretty situational. She doesn't win every lane, and she needs to snowball. And if she doesn't snowball, you have an issue. And there are a few comps that are gonna hurt her a lot. Between S or A. Between S or A. She's strong. I think she's the weakest in the S tier. By the way, this is not in order or something, but I would say she's the weakest in the S tier. Between S and A tier. Probably just A plus. S minus A plus. The issue is she doesn't really hard win most lanes. She's strong, but you need to be. Let's say if you are a one-trick pony Riven, you are super skilled at her, then she's S tier. How does that sound like? I think that's fair. If you are an expert Riven player that knows her perfectly, you have like 500 games, then S tier. And otherwise A tier. That sounds fair. Let's go. Wukong, I had him last time S tier. I think he's still there. Oh, I moved on Mundo. I just realized I had him last time S tier. Do you guys know why? No one plays Mundo. I haven't seen Mundo at all. No one plays Mundo. Yeah, I think I never played against a Mundo. No one plays Mundo, so I can't really even judge. I think he's super fine. He's super fine, but they nerfed him, so he's not that broken. He's super fine. A tier is solid. A solid A tier. Akali, I think the issue about Akali is that her early game is not that strong. Her teamfight is obviously solid, but she benefits more in the mid lane than in the Baron lane, just because of the early game that she can't really fight back against a lot of champions. Jax A tier, he loses a lot of matchups. He's still a great split pusher, but they also nerfed the Mastermind, which is gonna hurt his gold income. I put Akshan A tier actually. Wait. Let's say if you're a very skilled Akshan player and you're great at countering melee matchups, A tier. Hey, how does that sound like? I think he's fine. In the right hands, he can be very, very good against a lot of melee champions because you can kite and bully them. And there are only a handful of Akshan top lane players. So therefore, I can't really assess if he's... He can escape ganks pretty easily. He's very good into melee matchups. His downside is if he falls behind, he has a problem. But Akshan is a very broken champion in the mid lane. Let's say in the right hands, if you know how to zone, freeze, and harass melee champions, and you pick him accordingly, you pick him against champions with lack of mobility and gap closing abilities, then yes, A tier. How does it sound like? Sounds fine. So he's a situational A tier champion. Situational. So don't pick him against a Malphite or something. Pick him against Riven, Riven, Darius, Garen, for example. Renekton could be tricky. Sett, I was told he's good against Sett as well. Malphite, very solid tank. A tier. Seems fine. Good into melee comms. Downside, good in team fights. Downside is that he can't really hold lanes later on, and if the enemy split pusher gets you ahead, he's just gonna bully you completely, and you can never, like, he's always gonna shove you that you can't even join team fights. That's an issue in the mid-late game. Diana, I think she's a pretty great AP top champion if you guys need AP damage in the top lane. Overall, really solid. Mundo, like I said, solid. Graves, he is really not that strong, but if you know how to play him, you can do decently against melee matchups. Aurelia, a really high skill ceiling champion. She can do pretty well into most matchups. I consider her pretty solid, but she falls off in the mid and late game. And the same explanation for Pantheon. Great in the early game, falls off super hard in the mid-late game. And against bruisers that build armor, he can't do anything anymore. If you don't get first blood and you are against, let's say, Darius or Garen that are building armor, or Wukong who's building Thornmail or something, you're useless. You can't do anything against them. And Wukong has way more teamfight potential. Same for Garen. So you really, really want that level 2 first blood or level 3 first blood, but if you don't get it, you have a problem. You have a problem. Yasuo, he loses a lot of matchups. In the right hands, he can be really, really good though. So I think he has the potential to be good. So I'm just gonna put him into the A tier. If you have the right team comp setup like Alistar, Gragas, Rakan, the value of Yasuo can be really good. Jarvan is super solid, tanky, weak-siding top laner. He can hold his lane very easily. He has great poke in the early game and great team fight utility and a great tank in general. Lee Sin, a snowballing, cheesy top lane pick that can hold his own against most top lane champions. Cannon, I think he is fine in the top lane. Great zoning. Oh wait, didn't they nerf Cannon? But he's still fine. He's still very good at harassing and zoning people in the early game, and he has decent team fighting. I wish the ultimate was stronger though. Olaf, situational pick, is good against a lot of tanky Baron lane matchups, and he's a great counter against champions that rely on CC for their only peeling, like Lux, Senna, etc. So situational pick, but overall pretty solid and can hold his lane against most champions. Singed, a cheesy pick that scales super well. I think he's okay, but nothing special. Tryndamere, he loses a lot of matchups. In team fights, he will struggle against crowd control team comps, but overall, he's okay. Both Vayne and Lucian are situational. They can counter melee matchups pretty well, but the downside is if they get punished and they get camped, they go 0-10 or something. If you get camped by Lee Sin, Kha'Zix, Evelynn, whatever, you're done so. Let's say you're playing against Camille and enemy jungler is Kha'Zix or Evelynn and they're camping you. Just go surrender. Just go surrender then. Very situational picks. They can, like, if you play against, let's say, your Vayne or Lucian against Darius, you can do a great job. You can do a great job. But you need to consider the enemy jungler. If he punishes you, you are sayonara. Lulu, situational top lane pick. This is like more like a duo queue pick. If you have a Jax jungler and you go Lulu can hold her own pretty well in the top lane, and she can harass people early, and then she can always buff the Jax up, and Jax is gonna carry you. Situational pick, that can be pretty good. Nasus, I hate Nasus playstyle. It's weak. He loses almost every matchup. He is super weak. He can't do anything. He needs to AFK farm, get stacks, and no one will allow you to farm freely. And you need so many stacks to be useful in team fights. And you pray for your teammates to not int. A majority of the time, your bot lane is gonna be 0-4, 0-5, 0-8. So if you go Nasus, you pray that your bot lane is not gonna feed. But if they are feeding, you lose. And if you are on a Fiora and you are ahead, you can at least snowball and try to carry on the other map or impact the other map. While a Nasus is just busy AFK farming. I think it just doesn't work in World Rift. A fast-paced game where you need to roam a lot, join team fights. It's not like a League PC where you have a 15-minute laning phase where you can AFK farm. Nasus doesn't work. It's not good. Kayle, nerfed to the ground. She is super squishy. If the enemy jungler wants to, you're going 0-10 every single game. She is so weak early, and she needs to get into the late game level 15. But if the enemy jungler wants to punish you, you will get punished. And even if you hack the turret, they can dive you. You are so squishy, you just... sayonara. Bye. Teemo, he's just too weak. Like, the whole point of Teemo is being the insane early game bully, but he isn't the insane early game bully anymore. And if you don't snowball in the early game, you are just useless. And if you fall behind as a Teemo, you are useless as well. So you need every game to play hyper aggressive, but it's very easy to punish a Teemo that is super squishy and overextends to punish and freeze the enemy Baron laner. He's just not that strong anymore because they nerfed all of his abilities. It's just a fact. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't work, but he's not good. You can play him if you want to. If you're an EL, if you're the devil, go ahead, play him, but he's not good. Just because I put someone in C tier, it doesn't mean he's not viable. I'm just saying C stands for average. It's not good. It's okay. Do play him if you have fun, but don't expect to be Challenger Solo Queue Teemo, or Challenger Solo Queue Nasus, or Challenger Solo Queue Kayle. It's probably not gonna happen, especially with 700 LP. It's not gonna happen. Trust me, on those 3 champions, It's probably not gonna happen. Even if you abuse the OP champion, solo queue to challenger right now, extremely hard to do. You need to be one of the best players to do this. Let's assume you have good gains. Let's say you have plus 20. You can probably do it much easier, but let's say you have a standard account that doesn't have insane MMR, and once you have 500 LP, you get plus 10. You need to abuse those champions. You probably won't make it on other champions. That's just how it works in high elo. But if you are just an average player, you play in Emerald, you play in Diamond, you play in Platinum, or whatever rank, play whatever you like to play. This is just an orientation for what champions I think are the best if you guys want to grind higher, if you guys want to have an easier time. You can go for Teemo if you want to. I'm not saying it's not viable, I'm just saying it's weaker. But yeah, let's go for junglers. Just because so many people don't understand what tier lists are about. Tier lists are an orientation for you guys. It's not, you have to do this. No one forces you to do something. Just play whatever you want. But if you guys think, hey, I'm in Diamond, I think I'm doing really well, I wanna get to Master, I wanna get to Grandmaster. I'm already done learning my Master Yi. I wanna learn a new OP champion where I can 1 vs 9. Then, for example, go for the OP champions. Hey, that's how it works in mobile games, or that's how it works in MOBAs. You always want to go for the best champions if you want to have the easiest time. If you guys want to have a challenge, go solo queue Ramos to challenger. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Amumu solo queue. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Trust me. Let's say who are the best junglers in Europe? Let's say Vex, 07, Zefta or something. Let's say they have plus 20 gains. Maybe they will do it. Maybe they can do it then. But let's say they have plus 10 gains. It's not gonna happen on those champions. Even the best pro players won't be able to do this. Not on those champions in solo queue. If they play 5Q, yeah, sure, whatever. But not gonna happen solo queue. You need to be on those 1 vs 9 super strong carry champions. Just so you guys understand. So, Fiora, one of the most popular high elo and competitive picks right now. Fiora jungle is super popular. I think in the C server she is insanely popular as well. Just overall, she's just so strong early skirmish wise and has snowball potential. And if you play the mastermind playstyle and snowball on the top side, she gets ahead. She gets 2-3k gold lead compared to the enemy jungler and just snowballs the whole map. Very strong pick. Obviously, then of the mastermind playstyle, and therefore I put Jax a little bit down because Jax is more reliant on the mastermind gold, while Fiora doesn't necessarily need it compared to the Jax. Lee Sin, even though he got nerfed, he's still one of the most broken early dominant champions. Ganking wise, he's insane. Jungle pathing wise, he is unrivaled. Kha'Zix, one of the best assassins in the game. Evelynn, solo queue, low elo piss stomper. She's probably the easiest champion to abuse to farm LP as a jungler in every rank, even high elo. But especially anything under master, she can 1 vs 9 every single game, 20 kills. Especially if you have good macro, if you use the invisibility correctly, you can gank early, you can gank level 2 already, farm those shit bot laners, GG easy. Honestly, Evelynn is so broken, it's not even funny how broken Evelynn is. Do you guys know why I think she's so broken? It's just because she can abuse people with bad map awareness, with bad positioning in the lane. She can just farm those people up. And who are those bad people? Oh, almost any rank, that's the sad part. There was a time where people were used to Evelynn, where she was meta. But, I mean, in general, back then people were better, to be fair. Like, Diamond players were better, but right now, anything that's below Diamond or below Master, like Diamond, Emerald, etc., it's free farm forever. If you are a good Challenger Evelynn player, you can 1 vs 9 every single game. Unless you play against a trio queue that's gonna invade you. If you don't get invaded, you will win every single game as an Evelynn. She is that strong if you're a good Evelynn player. And okay, there are some games where if you like every single lane is 010, but usually let's assume they're doing average or they're doing okay, then Evelynn is super, super strong. Jax still super strong, but with a mastermind nerf, I think the playstyle of 1 vs 9 hyper carry is slightly nerfed. I think he's still very good, but not as broken anymore. Rengar, one of the, yeah, similar to Evelynn, but not as great as Evelynn as to abuse the invisibility early games, early ganks. So I'm just gonna put him in S tier. Jayce got a pretty heavy nerf for his early jungle clear. I think that's gonna put him from S plus tier to S tier. He's still gonna be strong, but not broken anymore. Camille's second ability nerf is definitely gonna hurt her, but I'm one of those that I'm maxing first ability and then third ability. There are some Camille players that max the second ability, since the second ability is so great at securing objectives. So you can combine second ability with smite, but honestly, I mean, she's still very, very good, and I think other um, players have put Camille into S tier as well in the jungle, like Rush, for example. Riven, I think in solo queue she's really good at snowballing the game. She's a really strong snowballing jungler, especially if you since she is a high skill ceiling champion. If you're good at her, she is super strong. Xin Zhao super strong. Like a very, very balanced champion. Like he has everything you want in the jungler. Good early game, good ganking power, good front line, decent damage. Same for Vi. Um, Olaf, a super good 1 vs 9 hyper carry, great at countering compositions that rely on crowd control. Great early game, insane level 3 skirmish. He's just super strong. Jarvan, he has the whole utility package. A great early game ganker, great frontliner, decent damage. Overall, really, really solid. Nunu, if you guys want AP damage, if you guys want a tank in the jungle and a good ganker, then Nunu is the way to go. Morgana, even though she got nerfed, I think she is still a very good jungler, especially since AP damage is so high demanded, especially in the jungle. There are only a few champions in the jungle that have magical damage, so Morgana is one of them. Her early game jungle clear is still very good. And utility wise, her ganks are obviously really good, and her team fight is also good. Set. Set got nerfed so hard in the jungle. They nerfed the first ability damage onto monsters, and they nerfed the base attack damage plus attack speed. That's gonna lower his jungle clear speed by a lot. I still think he's gonna be fine. Utility wise, he's gonna be good. But he's not gonna be the insane bruiser that has tons of damage. I think he's more, or you built him more tanky now compared to before. Wukong is similar to Xin Zhao, Olaf, Jarvan, but he's very ultimate reliant. Plus, his jungle clear speed is not that good. Obviously, his ganks are fine, but he doesn't have the greatest crowd control outside of the ultimate. But if you have the right team comp, you have a Yasuo, for example, then Wukong definitely can be a really, really good pick. Renekton, he's underrated in the jungle. I think he's pretty solid. Definitely check out the jungle videos I've made on Renekton. Like, people totally underestimate her. Diana, I think she's fine as a jungler, but her jungle clear speed is pretty shit. Graves, I think he's good. I mean, A tier means good. A tier is good. He's good. But I don't like the playstyle that you need to farm so much on him. And his 1 vs 9 potential, while AFK farming, is not as good as a Jax, for example. Aurelia, kind of tricky. I think she's decent jungler, to be fair. And in the right hands, she can be super good to snowball the game. Pantheon, a really great early game snowballing champion. Oh, I forgot to put him in the mid tier list. No, I didn't forget. Never mind. Gragas, with a buff. Actually, I put him beat. No, I put him. Where did I put him last time? Actually, I think he's B tier. I put him A tier, right? I think he's B tier. Fizz A tier is fine. Wait, let me check jungle. I put him A tier last time as well. Barely anyone plays him. And I know Vex plays him AP, and his win rate is so bad on him. I don't know. He's honestly he's okay, but somehow I think he's okay. His jungle clear speed is not bad. His damage is good. His utility is fine. Maybe hybrid build. Maybe hybrid build. Because you want to engage so often with the dashes, and if you go full AP, you're kind of squishy. I mean, you're not that squishy, but I think a hybrid build is probably better. Fizz, jungle clear, not that good, but if you're snowballing, he can snowball like he's one of the best snowballing champions, and he has great ganking potential and insane damage. Tryndamere. He's okay, they nerfed him. I don't know what no one plays him honestly, and there's so many team comps that he doesn't work against. Master Yi, same issues. One crowd control, he's fucked. Mundo, I feel like he's okay, but nothing special. He's just a frontline with barely any CC to gank. So he's just basically AFK farming and being a frontline. His 1v1 carry potential is not that great. Amumu is just weak even though he got buffed. Shyvana is also weak and squishy, and she's so reliant on the dragon and having a good teamfight comp. And if you guys don't have it, then she's not playable. Rammus is just so useless. I don't know. If you really want a few kills in the early game, get those few early ganks off, but I don't feel him. He just seems really weak, to be honest. Okay, let's go for mid. Katarina got buffed. I think that's a bad decision. If she gets one kill, she's one of the best solo queue champions. If she gets one kill in a team fight, she gets the reset, everyone is dead, and she gets the pentakill. And especially with the ultimate buff, doesn't make sense. And a good Katarina, a good one-trick pony Katarina, you are not in a fun time when she gets ahead. I think this is a big mistake by Riot to buff her for solo queue. This is not good. I think she was totally fine and strong. Diana stays the same. She's still super strong. Great assassin. Same for Zed. Also great assassin. Insane damage. It's not fun. He has so much mobility. His split pusher is good. His team fighting is good. He doesn't even fall behind in the late game. And Diana also in the late game and in the team fights, she is just super good. And those two, if they get ahead, surrender. Go next. Even if you buy Zhonya's on Zed, he's just too strong in the right hands. He's a really high skill ceiling champion, so in the right hands, just you will have a hard time. Fiora, I think she is a super strong mid laner right now. She holds her on, or she beats most champions in the mid lane. Downside is you won't have poking damage in the team fights, and she's not the greatest team fighter. Ziggs, one of the greatest or one of the best mid lane poking champions. Jace got nerfed, but I think he's still gonna be fine in the mid lane. His poking damage is still gonna hurt a lot. Morgana, even though she got nerfed for the mid lane, her wave play is still gonna be fine. Her utility is good, and her team fighting is strong. Yasuo in the right hands, he is super strong. If you guys have the right team fight composition, you have people that can enable you for the ultimate, he is super strong. Akali, very good assassin, good snowballing champion. She is very good in team fights, but kind of situational overall S tier. Akshan, a really strong mid lane champion. He's just broken. He's just broken, super strong. And he has revive, he has tons of damage, and he beats a lot of melee champions in the mid lane matchup. Aurelia, great snowballing champion, great outplay potential, decent in team fights. She has great 1v9 potential in the right hands and if she's ahead. Twisted Fate, Good crowd control, good map pressure. He has the ultimate to roam and gank around. And he can catch people with his gold card. So Twisted Fate, great at snowboarding the game. Orianna, same as Ziggs, one of the greatest utility poking champions. Galio, very good tanky utility based mid laner with tons of damage. Great engage potential, great crowd control, great playmaking potential. Fizz, a super strong assassin. Great snowball potential, great 1v9 potential. He can gank around, snowball. Downside is obviously team fights. He is not broken, especially if they have a lot of poke and he can poke them out. But if he gets ahead, you are in for trouble. Ahri is a solid pick. She has great catch potential. She has the charm. If you hit someone with the charm, you probably win the team fight. Like if you just catch people one by one with the charm, she's super strong. She has the ultimate for mobility. She's a great ganker. She doesn't have the greatest poking damage. I mean, she's overall a very solid assassin. Set. I've seen a lot of set players recently. I think Set is fine. He's okay into some matchups, but he's not the greatest anymore. After the nerfs, he still has tons of great utility. So overall, I think if you guys want to play him into some melee matchups, you definitely can, and just play him tanky and use him for the utility, not necessary as a hyper carry. I think Ribbon is fine into a lot of matchups to counter them and then snowball. But definitely a pretty situational pick, like I explained for the Baron lane, depending on the enemy team comp. Aurelion, great team fighter, great roaming potential. He can snowball around the map pretty decently. I put Evelynn mid lane because of Doom's video. I think if you are good on Evelynn and you know how to abuse the invisibility to gank around and snowball, she has the potential to be A tier. It depends on the matchup, obviously. You want to go into a matchup where you can roam more freely, not into a matchup where you get poked out and then you try to snowball. And she's just great at snowballing against players that are not good. Renekton overall a decent pick to counter some champions, and if you guys want an AD mid lane pick, then go for Renekton. Same explanation for Camille. Pantheon, same, but he also has the great roaming potential and snowball potential with the ultimate to gank in the side lanes. Gragas, overall a pretty solid mid lane pick, just built him AP. He has good damage, good crowd control, good playmaking potential with the dash and with the ultimate. Brand, overall a pretty solid poking champion with decent crowd control, but lack of mobility, so it's harder for him to roam compared to other champions. Corki, decent ADC mid lane champion with good damage, especially when you have package in the team fights, he is good. But the downside is there are so many assassins that counter him in the mid lane. For example, Zed. Veigar, decent mid laner, but I don't know. I don't feel him. He's not that strong compared to Morgana, Orianna, Ziggs, Diana, etc. He's okay, but nothing special. Lucian, same explanation like Corki. On top of that, he has tons of mobility. Um, so he's pretty solid. Cinch, kind of underrated. He has great roaming. Honestly, he's underrated. I've played him a few times. He is great at roaming and snowballing and joining team fights and great playmaking potential with a Protobelt Blink combo to catch people off guard. Lux, overall, pretty solid pick. Great poking and wave clear. Decent crowd control. And she can keep a distance with her bind. Graves, a situational counter pick into some matchups, but he's not that amazing. Annie, I think after the ultimate nerf, I don't think she is that amazing. She's okay, but she gets countered by so many champions, and she's really squishy with barely any mobility. Kale, she is just too scaling, and she needs to somehow reach into the late game. Most of the times, you probably lose the game before she is strong enough. And they nerfed her early game so hard. And as a mid lane, it's so important for you guys to roam and help out in the map and try to snowball and join team fights, etc. Meanwhile, Kale is AFK farming, so I don't think she's good anymore. I think she's fine, but try to get into the late game. Seraphine, decent mid laner. I think she's okay. She provides good poking damage and has decent crowd control. Cannon can't really abuse his range advantage in the mid lane compared to the Baron lane. His team fighting potential is not that good because his ultimate doesn't do that much damage. He's fine, but not crazy. For example, a Ziggs will probably do 50,000 damage in the game or 80,000 damage, while you probably do half the damage as a cannon. Lulu mid lane situational. It's more like a you pick here to boost your ADC for 1 vs 9 hyper carrying, or for the Jax jungle that you want to boost for hyper carry. So now I think she's bad mobility, can barely roam. Her poking damage is okay, but nothing too crazy. And she gets countered by too many champions in the mid lane. Let's go for ADC. Okay, Vayne, even though she got nerfed on the even though her first ability got nerfed, they didn't touch her second ability and they didn't touch her ultimate. So the attack speed steroid from the second ability is not nerfed. The true damage on the second ability is not nerfed. The movement speed she gets from the ultimate is not nerfed. And the invisibility is also not nerfed. They nerfed the tumble active duration. I mean, the cooldown and the lifesteal, or the healing she gets from the tumble, but overall she's still too broken. One of the best and most annoying ADC champions, 1 vs 9 ADC champions. Varus, super strong poking champion with great utility. Lucian, super, like this guy has so much mobility and tons of damage. As a Baron lane main, super hard to deal with. And he's great at snowballing. I feel like I'm kind of losing my voice. Wow. Kai'Sa, overall is super strong champion, and she has the whole package. She's strong. S tier is strong. She's not broken, but she's very, very strong. Same applies for Xayah. Like every champion in the S tier, basically, they are really, really strong on their own. Good at team fighting. Good 1 vs 9 potential. So for Xayah, she has the root utility, she has the ultimate to dodge abilities and escape. And she can turn team fights with her feathers. When they're all chasing you down, you have so many feathers, they pull them back, they're all taking tons of damage, getting rooted, GG. Ziggs, one of the best APCs right now in the game. Same for Orianna. They both have tons of damage, and APC champions are in the meta right now. Because there are so many mid lane champions that are AD. So a lot of pro players or in high elo, they go for APC champions. Since you have an AD champion in the mid lane that is super strong, and then you just go for AP damage in the bot lane. So both Ziggs and Orianna, tons of poking damage. Ezreal, a super strong poking champion in the late game, but you need to scale. That's the downside. He is not that strong in the early game, but if he gets into the late game, enjoy the poking damage every 2 seconds. Oh god. Draven, he got buffed. Bad decision. One of the best solo queue 1 vs 9 snowboarding champions. He's just super good at abusing bad bot laners snowboarding. If you are good at Draven, you could probably go 5-0 within the first 2 minutes, first 3-4 minutes. Miss Fortune, decent early game. Her ultimate is great for team fights. Corki, overall, a really good bot lane pick, and he provides magical damage if you guys need to. He has good damage, decent mobility. Caitlyn, she has the range advantage. She is super strong in the early game and overall a really solid ADC. Morgana as APC, she got nerfed. I think if she didn't get nerfed, I would have put her S tier, but after the nerf, I mean, they buffed the armor, but I still think after the nerf and yeah, after the nerf on the ultimate and on the second ability, I think she is a solid, strong A tier, maybe A plus tier. Ashe, a solid pick. She has the ultimate for utility, but overall, her 1 vs 9 hyper carry is not that crazy, and she doesn't have mobility at all. So she's pretty easy to kill. So even if she gets ahead, she's pretty easy to kill in team fights. Same applies for Jinx. No mobility, very easy to kill. And the downside is compared to a Draven that also doesn't have the greatest mobility, but Draven has the second ability for movement speed. Jinx doesn't have that. Only if she kills someone and gets the passive movement speed, and she only has the traps. But besides that, she's very easy to kill, and she doesn't have the early game advantage compared to a Draven. Jhin, I think he is a solid pick. Early game, very good in the lane, but he falls off in the mid-late game. His damage output falls off. And if you don't snowball in the early game, he's just too weak in the mid and late game. Senna crit or Senna ADC, I think she is fine in the right hands if you play her well. But yeah, just a B tier. I think she's okay, but nothing special. Seraphine as an APC and Bran as an APC and Vega. I am just gonna put them all three together. I think they're okay, but they don't provide the same value as Ziggs, Orianna, and Morgana. I mean, Seraphine and Sona is pretty good. Seraphine alone, B tier. Seraphine with Sona, probably A tier. Brand is so situational when you can pick him as an APC. Maybe with Senna, maybe with other tank. It's okay, but he lacks the mobility. He just lacks the mobility and the crowd control compared to the others, and the range. Like Orianna and Ziggs can poke from so far away. Brand's range is kind of smaller, and he doesn't provide the same utility. Gragas as an APC, I think he is not that great, and he doesn't provide the damage as an APC. And the same explanation for Vega. I don't think he does that much damage as an APC because he doesn't have the range. Akshan as an ADC, I think he's okay, but nothing too special. Twisted Fate as an ADC, that's kind of troll. And Tristana is just way too weak as an ADC. In the early game and mid game, she's just super weak. If you guys lose to a Tristana in the lane, you're just really bad player. Not gonna lie. She's just super weak. Her late game is strong though. But her late game, you need like 4 or 5 items. Okay, let's go for support. Lulu, S plus tier, very strong enchanter, super annoying. Attack speed, movement speed, ultimate, silence, very annoying champion. Thresh, one of the best playmaking champion if you're good on him. Like if you land your hooks, you know how to use Lantern. He's really one of the greatest playmakers, and you roam around, try to make plays on the map, he can be super obnoxious. Yumi's third ability is too broken. She has healing, shielding, attack speed, movement speed, root with the ultimate. What doesn't she have? She has everything. And she can't be targeted while she is on an ADC. So press third ability on your Vayne, she's gonna... You dead. You dead. Yumi's too broken, man. Buff Vayne, buff Jax. Buff. You dead, bitch. You dead. Sayonara. Better ban her. Just ban her. Nami, one of the best enchanting champions. Great peeling abilities. She has the bubble to knock people up. She has the ultimate to knock people up. She has healing. She has attack speed. Rakan, also one of the best playmaking supports. Great engages possible with him. Alistar, Braum, Leona, Gragas. I'm just gonna all. They actually all have the same explanation. Great tanky champions with playmaking potential and tons of utility. So Alistar knockup, Gragas dash and ultimate, Braum shield utility wise to block abilities, Braum ultimate as disengage as engage, Galio taunt, Galio ultimate, Leona stun and Leona ultimate. Just great tanky playmaking champions with tons of utility. Morgana as a support, I think she has decent utility, but she doesn't provide the same value like a Lulu or Nami or Yumi. She has the Black Shield for crowd control. She has the binding, that's fine. She has the ultimate. So overall, I think she's okay, but not that broken. Janna, decent enchanting peeler. She has the shield to give you, she can give you a shield and AD. She has strong early game, poking people down. She has the ultimate to peel for the entire team. I've seen Dr. Mundo support being played in competitive in North America, and they did really, really well. So I'm just gonna put him B tier for now. I've never tried him myself, so he has the potential to be better, but I really don't know how good he is as a support. Grand support, I think he's okay, but not a fan of damage dealing supports, to be fair. Soraka, I think she's okay, but she's really situational. You really need at least one or two tanky frontliners, otherwise she doesn't work. She has heal, she has silence, she doesn't have really peel. She doesn't have any peel, that's the issue. She has 0 peel. Sona, decent poking damage, she has the ultimate as utility. Same explanation for Seraphine with the ultimate and her poking damage. It's okay, but it's not the greatest value. Like all you have is poking damage and then the ultimate. But besides that, compare Lulu, compare Nami. Nami has so much playmaking and peeling potential, and she provides much more utility even without the ultimate. And on top of that, her ultimate is so much better. AoE knockup. Then the bubble is AoE knockup. Then she has healing, attack speed. What doesn't she have? Any support is troll. It's don't do this. Amumu support is troll. Don't do this. Malphite support is troll. Don't do this. They are weak in the early game, they don't provide any peeling, and they're all just ultimate bots. Without ultimate, they're useless, and they just all rely on the ultimates. I don't like that. Hey! It's funny. Do you guys know what's funny? Every single tier list, there is a new champion. By the way, F tier, it's just meme. For you guys who don't understand, it's just memeing. Obviously, a good Senna in a good Senna is like B tier. A good Lux is like B tier. A good Blitzcrank can be like C or B tier. But why do I always put these champions in the F tier? Because the players don't know how to play these champions and they are just gonna go and int me. The likelihood, if you have a Senna, Lux or Blitzcrank support, to lose the game is just too high. People don't know how to play these champions, they don't know when to play these champions, and in the end they will just int you down and you're gonna end up losing this game. Senna support, 99% of Sennas are bad players that are gonna int you. Yeah, same applies for Lux. Those full damage dealing Lux support players that always clear the wave, they don't know how to land the binding after playing 2000 games of Lux, and they're just using the ultimate to clear the wave and use the ultimate to snipe and steal kills. And in the end, they're gonna go 0-6 and they're gonna flame you. Nah, and those Blitzcrank players, if you land hooks and if you are good at hooking people, I think he can be good. But those people that play Blitzcrank, they either don't land hooks or they hook the wrong people. They are hooking Malphite into you, or they're hooking a Gregor's Galio Alistair into you, and then you lose the team fight because they're just trolling. So yeah, I'm putting these people F tier, or these champions F tier, because the player base don't know how to play those champions, and they're just gonna run you down. Stop playing these champions. Make me happy. Thank you. Anyways, that's gonna be it for the tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Actually, pretty decent changes because of the balance changes. Set nerf, I like that. Jace nerf, I like that. Camille nerf, I'm crying inside. I think it's good though. It's not gonna hurt her too much. Otherwise, what's major changes that they do? Oh yeah, Katarina buff. Oh, stupido. No Lulu nerf, no Nami nerf, no Rakan nerf, no Thresh nerf. Nah, what are you doing? What are you doing, by the way? They could buff Nasus, they could buff Kayle again. Make her early game stronger and her late game weaker. Buff Teemo. Buff Amumu, buff Shyvana, buff Ramos. Buff Sona and Seraphine, I guess. Buff Tristana. Buff Jhin a little bit. It's slightly. Hey, Jhin is in a good place. Everyone who's asking for a buff, you're stupid. He's not broken. He's solid. Don't make his early game stronger. Make his mid and late game better. Make his late game better. Let's say, don't buff his numbers for the early game. Buff his numbers for the late game. Hey, boom. Mid and late game, he should be stronger. That's my opinion. But yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this playlist. I hope you guys enjoyed this tier list. I see you next time. Bye bye.
Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright.